Hello everybody, my name is Fraser, and I swear to God, every single time I open the Twitter app, I just lose a part of my soul. It just kind of vanishes, and then on the side of that, I have around 700,000 brain cells eradicated because it's just a horrible place. And recently that was proven even further as I opened Twitter and oh, guess what I saw? Gus Johnson has returned to the internet after a month of being away. And I understand now a few of you are probably a little bit confused to why would that be a bad thing? Why would I be upset that the funny, quirky man that is Gus Johnson came back to the internet? And if you didn't know who Gus Johnson is, well, this is him.
Get the ball! Oh, what I would not give to be able-bodied right now! Trevor, come here real quick. Can you Google, are welts permanent? Mr. Thompson? Mr. Thompson, is this the worst injury you've seen as a teacher? I bet it is.
Yes, Gustav Amel Johnson is somebody that you have most likely heard of in the past, and some of you probably are actually a really big fan of this guy. I know personally, I was well, not a big fan, but I enjoyed this guy's content. I would occasionally dabble into his sketch comedy videos and, you know, sometimes watch the podcast that he would do with his other fellow American content creator friends. It was all very good. Gus Johnson was particularly known for his comedy, but also more recently known for his allegations of severely mistreating his ex-girlfriend and how I like to know it as emotional abuse. And I understand a lot of you are probably a little bit confused to what I'm speaking about here, so I'm just going to give a quick little explanation. In the last month, a massive scandal has happened involving Gus Johnson and his ex-girlfriend, where they made a video speaking about a traumatic experience that she had to go through whilst dating Gus Johnson, and it involved a severe amount of mistreatment and, in my opinion, emotional abuse from Gus's end. And Gus actually eventually came out and apologized for this, stating that he will be leaving the internet for a while and, you know, doing all the other influencer things like growing into a new person or whatever that means. Now, when I say apology, I do mean that this apology is the equivalent of if a reindeer took a shit on your doorstep and said, "There you go, buddy. There's your Christmas present for today." That's basically what it is. It's probably one of the more terrible apologies a YouTuber has ever made, and we will get into that in today's video, but I kind of want to explain this entire timeline in one big video to speak about the situation that happened, the aftermath, the apology, and Gus Johnson's return to YouTube, which happened a few days ago. New sketch out now, the kid in the gym class who always got an ice pack. Thank you for everyone for watching and supporting my work. You know, it's always a little bit mysterious when a YouTuber seemingly gets in a lot of trouble and flack, given certain things that they did in the past and actually admitted to in this post, and then they come back mysteriously after the YouTube dislikes get removed. It's almost a little sus, guys. It's almost a little sus that, oh, a week later after the YouTube dislikes are gone, I'm just gonna come back. I'm just gonna come back. And you're probably thinking, Fraser, I have actually no idea what this guy's done other than this little explanation. Please explain, and I will, and I do just want to put a warning saying that there are going to be very sensitive themes in this video dealing with topics of abortion and miscarriages, so if you are sensitive to that, please, for the love of God, click off this video, or at least just click towards the ending where it may be a little bit better. But to be honest, I would mainly recommend not watching that video if you are hypersensitive to that. That's completely understandable. I will be putting out some epic funnies later on this week, which you can watch instead. Thanks. So yes, Gus Johnson fans that are watching this video right now with an angry fist of rage, please just calm down, don't defecate in your underwear. I am now going to explain everything. Starting off with Abelina Sabrina, also known as Sabrina. She recently uploaded a video titled My Ectopic Pregnancy. Now I'm going to break down this video and explain everything involving Gus, involving just in general this situation. But firstly, I think it's only right for me to actually explain what an ectopic pregnancy actually is. And I'm going to do that by actually playing a video by Medical Centric, because personally, I'm not a medical expert. I don't have all of the knowledge, and I'd rather you watch a quick 1-minute clip to kind of help you understand the severity of what actually happened in this situation and how traumatizing it can be for somebody going through a pregnancy.
Ectopic pregnancy is a complication of pregnancy in which a fertilized egg settles and grows outside the inner lining of the uterus. Normally, a fertilized egg travels to the uterus to attach itself, but in an ectopic pregnancy, the fertilized egg doesn't attach itself to the uterus. Rather, it may attach itself to several other locations outside the cavity of the uterus. Ectopic pregnancies mostly occur in the fallopian tube and are so-called tubal pregnancies. However, they can also occur in other places, including the cervix, ovary, or abdominal cavity. An ectopic pregnancy cannot proceed normally and may eventually lead to the death of the embryo. An ectopic pregnancy is a medical emergency as it can cause life-threatening bleeding. If left untreated, the fallopian tube may rupture and may lead to internal bleeding, shock, and even death.
So naturally, this is something that nobody deserves to go through. Obviously, nobody should have to go through this, but we do need to face the reality that people do go through this, and Sabrina is one of these people. So I firstly want to start this by saying, well, I've said it before, and I've had interacted with Sabrina, and she knows that she knows that I think she's an incredibly brave person, but I just want to say it again. And also, if you could, please after this video, go and send some love and support to Sabrina, because she's had to go through a lot of healthcare, and in America, we know for a fact that that costs a lot of money, so any support you can offer her, that would be absolutely amazing. So now we have a pretty vague understanding of what an ectopic pregnancy is. I'm going to play a few clips from this video to give you an understanding of the starting of it and why it involves Gus Johnson. And this clip is going to be pretty long, and I think it's just because I want you to get the full context of everything that has happened in this situation.
Oh, hello. On this very day, a certain number of years ago, I was in the hospital dying. It was the worst experience of my entire life, and I don't recommend it. 10 out of 10, don't recommend, not even with rice. And I was alone for most of it. But little by little, as I did open up to some friends, I ended up finding that similar stuff like this happens. I don't even know where to go from here. Let me just backtrack and show you guys how I got there. So years ago, I found out that I was pregnant, and I did not want to be. I was not ready for that, and as soon as I confirmed it at home, I made a doctor's appointment, and I went immediately just to get a second confirmation and just find out where to go from there. I had Kaiser Permanente at the time. They suck. First of all, Kaiser, you suck. I'm so happy I'm not with you anymore. But even though we're in California, you know, the bluest state probably in the whole country, you still have to go through quite a few hoops to terminate a pregnancy, and it's scary. And even at the first doctor's appointment, I think it didn't fully set in what was happening. They had to refer me out to Planned Parenthood because Kaiser Permanente refused to do it, which is wild. So they referred me out to Planned Parenthood. I, made the appointment there. I went, and they couldn't see anything, which was weird because I was certainly far enough along for something to be seen, and they couldn't see anything. So they thought, well, maybe you're not as far along as we thought. Come back in 2 weeks or something. Which, when you're trying to not be pregnant anymore, is not what you want to hear at all. Especially when most of the medical workers that you've been interacting with have been telling you things like, are you sure you want to do this? You have to be 100% sure. If you're even 99% sure, we're not going to let you do this. So it sticks with you a little bit. I always knew that I had to end it, but it's just harder when you're getting a lot of opposing pressure to not do it from medical staff and honestly your own body.
Now, as much as I am going to be speaking about Gus in this video, I also want to come at it from like an educational standpoint about how messed up the American healthcare system is. Because not only are you paying these insane amounts of bills to simply stay alive, to be healthy, but also in a situation such as an abortion where you are making such a complex decision. Because some people seem to believe that an abortion is a two-answer yes or no thing, when it very much isn't that. But to have the amount of pressure put on you by the medical experts, like Sabrina was in this situation, I genuinely just cannot comprehend how stressful that must be. Because to be honest, whenever you're in a hospital or some form of medical healthcare center, you kind of automatically assume that the doctors, the healthcare workers, they're the ones that know best, you know, because obviously you're on a place of medicine, a place of surgery and healthcare. So the people that have professional degrees and just in general qualifications in that field are going to be the ones who you'd think you'd have to listen to. But when they're putting pressure on you to possibly do something that you don't want to do, I can only imagine that's so unbelievably traumatic. And I just can't believe that a doctor or a nurse is allowed to put that pressure onto somebody in that situation. I don't really think it's a surprise given that I'm a massive lefty, but yes, I'm obviously pro-choice. I obviously believe that somebody has the right to choose what they want to do with their body involving anything. I believe that anybody has the right to choose whether they want to or not have a baby. That's completely up to them, in my opinion. But obviously I know there is going to be a clash of opinions, and that's only going to make the situation even worse for somebody who is going to have to make that choice. Not only have you got those people hounding you, not only have you got the doctors hounding you, but in this situation, on the other side of it, it seemed that her boyfriend was also putting pressure on her.
It's so weird, like once you get those hormones in your body, there's like this instinct that kicks in that makes you want to protect it, even though your brain is like, no, we're not ready for this. This was always the plan. If this happened, you promised your boyfriend that we would do this. So it was really scary to be receiving all this conflicting pressure from medical staff and your body to not do it, and then being pressured by your partner to do it. It felt like I didn't even have a choice. It really felt like I wasn't even allowed to consider what would happen if I didn't. And I'm reiterating over and over, I mean, look at my appointments. This was always what I was going to do. I was constantly taking the steps to end the pregnancy. But it's really scary when somebody is forcing you to do it. And I did have moments of weakness where I would cry and say things like, okay, but honestly, like, can we just consider, like, what if we didn't do it? Still gonna do it, but can we just consider what would happen if I didn't? And he would say, like, no, it's not even a question. You're gonna ruin my life if you do that. That would be the worst thing to ever happen to me. As along the lines of things that he would say. And at one point, he even said that he would break up with me if I didn't do it, and that he would resent me and the potential child. And that's really stuck with me. Because then at that point, and mind you, I haven't told anybody. I think I told one single friend.
Now, firstly, I understand that a few people are going to say, oh, but how's it about Gus? It's about Gus, guys. Let's not play stupid here. We're not doing some sassy shit. This is obviously about Gus. Here is an old post confirming it. 2018, my friends. Secondly, here is him acknowledging everything and apologizing it's not an apology, but it's some form of a statement. And I will get into that and I will break it down, but I'm just going to show a few phrases here. He says he fully realizes what he did was wrong and how sorry he is, and that he's come to grips with his actions. And what were these actions? Well, they were basically, from what I can hear here, forcing somebody into an abortion, pressuring them into an abortion, and actually seemingly blackmailing somebody. into an abortion. Now, I've seen a little bit of a debate over, is this emotional abuse? Is that even a question? Like, really, guys? Are we really debating this? Come on, are we really doing this right now? Of course it is. Like, what else is this? I'm sorry, guys, but forcing somebody or pressuring somebody into doing something like that is obviously morally wrong. Pressuring somebody into doing it is wrong. Pressuring somebody into not doing it is wrong. Now I understand, in these situations, obviously, there's going to be a little bit of stress on both sides. That's perfectly understandable. It's not just a one-way street here. Obviously, when a man and a woman love each other, you know, there's two people in this situation, right? And I think that obviously two people here are going to be stressed. One probably more stressed than the other, but naturally it can be a very worrying time and you may say some things you regret. But here, I can't really take that as some form of alibi or excuse, because I'm seeing somebody acknowledge in this apology that he did these things that she said he did, forcing somebody into an abortion. And there is no excuse for that. That is quite literally emotional abuse. And it's just the fact that rightfully so, people got mad at him and he said he's gonna leave, and then he just randomly returns the week after dislikes disappear. Like, yes, it actually gets worse with the things Sabrina says in this video, but you don't really need to go any further than this to think, yeah, goddamn, this person is trash. But let's continue in this. I don't even know what to say, and I just need to say it for like a fifth time. I have nothing but respect for Sabrina. Like, to go through this, like even with love and support, but to go through this with dealing with that at the same time, I just genuinely cannot commend somebody's bravery more than that. But the next clip I'm going to play is long. It's again because you need the full context and it is sensitive, so another warning. Yeah.
I was at work and, you know, trying to suck it up. And then all of a sudden, the weirdest painful sensation came over me again. But this time, it made me really dizzy and faint, and my heart was just racing, and I had this pain in my lower abdomen. I just knew something was wrong. And so I left work early. I called my boyfriend, and I told him, something's wrong. I'm going to the hospital again. I don't feel well. Something is wrong. And he said, okay, well, I have work to do and it involves other people, and then we're gonna go out and get dinner and drinks with them. So I had to go to the hospital alone. And I was there for about 4 hours by myself. Most of it in the waiting room. Just feeling like I'm dying the whole time. And finally they call me back and they do tests and imaging, and I still remember when they took me down to radiology to do my ultrasound. Finally, I'm getting the in-depth ultrasound. And if you guys know anything about ultrasounds, you know that the techs are not allowed to tell you your diagnosis at all. You have to hear it from a doctor. And so I'm laying there, and I still remember it perfectly. The ultrasound tech is in there, and she seems confused by something. So she gets another tech's input. I don't know if it's like her manager or just another person. And then the other tech goes, yeah, that's her uterus. And then the original tech says, no, that's her uterus. And I'm just laying there like, what are you talking about? What's happening? And they wouldn't tell me anything, of course, because that's part of, you know, their job. Like, they can't, just in case they're wrong. They need a doctor to look at it. So finally, they sent me back upstairs, and I'm still alone, and my phone is dying. I'm hoping that my boyfriend can come as soon as he can, and I decide, because I parked at like a high up level, I'm like, well, since it's nighttime now, I don't want to have to take an elevator or stairs because I won't feel safe. I'm gonna move my car to the first level now that it's starting to clear up. And I get in my car and I didn't put my seatbelt on. Even though I was in a parking garage, I was going like 5 miles an hour. And something about the beep of the seatbelt that needed to be clicked was just so ominous and foreshadowing. It sounded like a heart monitor. I just knew there was something wrong. I just knew it. Parked my car, got my charger, went inside, charged my phone. Finally, it seems like boyfriend is on his way, so that's nice. And he comes right in time to get the diagnosis. I had an ectopic pregnancy in my left fallopian tube. It ruptured. I've been bleeding internally ever since. They were surprised I wasn't dead. And that if I don't have surgery right then and there, I was going to die for sure. And as an added bonus, the surgery might not go well, and I might die during that too. So, here, sign these waivers and paperwork, because you don't have a choice anymore.
I think this whole situation is something which, you know, we really need to speak about more. I definitely think in this world, as much as it's spoken about, I really don't think we're as educated as we like to say we are when it comes to topics of abortion, topics of eptopic pregnancies. Sorry, I did just mispronounce that. But I think with these topics, we aren't educated enough. I think a lot of us come at these things because of our fueled arguments at a one or two sort of answer. There's not two answers in this. It's not a black and white decision. It's way more complex, and I would never wish these things on absolutely anybody, not even my worst enemy, you know? Like, these probably are the most traumatizing things anybody can go through in their life. So, yeah, I just want to say, in terms of an educational standpoint, I hope we can take a situation like this and really look at it and understand that, yes, we can get stressed and we can disagree with people, but I think we need to actually respect the fact that somebody is going to go through this, and it is a traumatic thing, and nobody wants to go through this. For some reason, people like to act like this is a thing people love to do or want to go through or do as some political statement. It's like, no, that very much isn't it, and this is something that can traumatize somebody for the rest of their life. But the one thing I just can't help but notice in this video is, once again, her funny, quirky, loving boyfriend, well, ex-boyfriend, the funny, quirky dude that everybody loves, said that, you know, when you're going to the hospital, when you're in severe amounts of pain, well, I'm sorry, I want to go get some drinks with my friends. I want to go get some drinks. I know you're in lots of pain, but I want to go get some drinks. Do you not, like, hear that and think, you are such a piece of garbage? Like, how can anybody, like, I'm gonna be real. If I had a friend I hadn't spoke to in years, and they came to me and said, Fraser, I am in severe amounts of pain right now, and I need somebody to come to the hospital with me because I have nobody to go with, I'd be like, yep, I'll be there, because that's what a friend does, you know? That's what a human does, actually. That's not even a friendship thing. I actually think if somebody was walking along the streets, most of us watching this right now, if we saw somebody in severe, like somebody had been hurt, you know, in severe amounts of pain, they're on the floor, I think most of us would probably call an ambulance at least, and some of us would even get in that ambulance or try to help in some form of way. Not say, oh, well, I actually want to get drinks with my friends, and I understand you're going through, but I want a Bev, a little Bud Light, you know, I just don't think that's a normal human response, and that's what kind of creeps me out here. Like, as much as I can try to make a funny little joke, it's not. It's really creepy, actually. Anybody that responds in this way is just straight out nuts, in my opinion. And in his apology, he said, I guess they were young at the time, which, bro, you were like 22, 23. Nobody at that age responds to those things in that way. When I was 22, I understand what you just did is a very bad thing. And I've also noticed a few people saying, why is she making this video? Why is this video sponsored? Why are you making this video? You know why I'm making this video? Because I don't feel comfortable with seeing a video like Sabrina's video and not speaking about it. I think more people should be speaking about this because it's a very important topic that a lot of people aren't exactly educated on. And I'm not trying to come here like I'm some big benevolent god. I'll be real, I'm not like the best bloke on the planet. I don't think anybody is, you know? But I want to speak about this because I think this is a very important topic, and I'm not comfortable with this dude coming back with, oh, I'm a funny, quirky dude, without taking at least some form of, I don't know, accountability. I hate that word so much, but some form of it, you know? And also, I do just have to say, if you see Sabrina's video and your first response is, yeah, but why are you making this video? Why are you making this video? If you say that in response to what she just said, bro, you're fighting for your life, my friend. There is no coming back from that. That shows that you have no forms of empathy or understanding. Because not only did she just say, yes, I had to work in the American, well, not work with the American healthcare system, you should immediately think, oh, ding, 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 thousands of dollars being spent. She probably needs to pay her bills. So no, this video being sponsored is not a problem at all. If somebody wants to monetize their trauma, go ahead, my friend. I truly do not care. Just do it. I actually implore you to do it because you deserve at least something to kind of help. I know it won't help anybody emotionally in these situations, but at least can we just let somebody have something, you know? And if you're then saying, well, why are you making this video? As I said, I mean, for one, I don't really care if anybody questions why I'm making this video, but two, I don't feel comfortable not speaking about this topic, you know? If your first response is completely ignoring the context of the situation and attacking the people who are the victims in this situation, that shows your reprehensible moral flaws. I don't even know if that made sense. It just shows that you're basically a dick.
And I don't fully blame him because that is a lot of responsibility to put on a single person. But he started to get real sick of me. I couldn't sleep by myself for the longest time, so I was over at his place, and I'm sure his roommates, love that. But I was just broken for a really long time. I was trying to put myself through therapy. I would try to take myself to the doctor whenever, stuff would spike, and it was just the worst. And boyfriend started to resent me. And so I tried bottling it up even more and not telling him until I was absolutely certain that I needed to go to the doctor and I would not be able to drive myself. If I try really hard to be independent, but sometimes I just can't. And those were the moments where I just couldn't. And at one point, he was talking about how hard it was having to take care of me when I would have those moments. Mind you, I never stopped him from doing anything or going anywhere. He still continued to live his life as if nothing ever happened. And there I am in the background, in the shadows, just trying to pretend that I don't feel like I'm dying. It's really hard. And then he would, sometimes tell me things like, someone else would have left you by now, right? So the lack of support was really hard.
Now, I honestly do somewhat feel uncomfortable using these clips in my video just because of the disturbing nature of what actually happened here. I mean, it is textbook emotional manipulation. He is one of the main reasons that she felt like this, and he is then seemingly blaming her for feeling like how she was feeling. And as I said earlier, I understand arguing, I understand occasionally lashing out, but based on everything I've heard, this is just... it's just so unbelievably wrong. And I'm just going to say it, people, it may sound a little bit ridiculous, but if you're willing to do the deed, you need to be willing to be responsible for whatever can come from that, because certain things can come from it, pregnancy can happen, and if you are willing to do the deed, you need to own up to the fact that you are partly responsible in that. You are one of the main, obviously, it's two people, I'm not going to go into details, but you need to be responsible and you need to own up to the consequences. It's not a one-way thing here. If you're going to do that, you need to be prepared for these, yes, unlikely things to happen, but they can ultimately genuinely happen, and you have no right to blame the other person for that. This is a situation which nobody could really prevent. It's just one of the cruel things of life that can happen, and the fact that he has made it even worse by constantly putting pressure on her, emotionally blackmailing her, and saying things like he would leave her. It's just, I'm genuinely shocked that this is Gus Johnson. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the guy, but it is just shocking that somebody who was portrayed as this big, lovely, nice guy is like this. And I think that's a big lesson we can take from this, is that anybody in this social media space can be a terrible person, even if it's somebody we like. And I feel like that's where we need to really take all of our biases away from this and actually say, yeah, this is a bad thing. This whole video is genuinely a very good summary. I mean, for one, how bad and terrible the American healthcare system truly is, but it also represents that I don't think society takes pregnancy as seriously as some people should, and it kind of is boiled down to this black and white decision when it really is not that. It's not just like it's this thing of where it's like, oh yeah, I'll keep the baby, or this thing of where it's like, oh no, I won't keep the baby. It's not like that. This is an incredibly complex thing, and some of you may be watching thinking, well, no, I'm very good with these things. I actually think, yes, it is very complex. Great. But a lot of people seemingly don't in this whole thing. I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, why is Sabrina so upset? Why is she making this video? And just people being outright completely rude. And it's like, do people really not understand how complex these issues are? Even if you are pro-choice, it's going to affect you in such traumatizing ways. This is not a thing anybody will want to go through. And I really think that we need to understand that and actually be extremely empathetic here. And now when it comes to understanding with Gus, I'm not too sure if he does understand these things or not, but I definitely don't believe the guy cares, considering that his apology was in a text-based format. He replied with a tweet, and you know, I think you can apologize for some things in tweets, of course, but when it comes to something like this, I definitely think I need to see some actual video, some human being sat in front of a camera, not text on a screen. I'm sorry, but I cannot take this as some, oh, I've learned, I've grown. That's just not how I'm going to take this, given the serious nature of what actually happened in this situation. But yeah, let me just read this full thing. I'm aware of a recent video that calls out some actions that I'm not proud of, and I want to apologize. The circumstances were extremely hard and complicated for both of us, but I can't even begin to imagine how difficult it was for her. Yeah, me neither, buddy. I can't imagine how difficult it was for her to deal with that, whilst dealing with a boyfriend that wants to go get some drinkies while she's going to hospital. I also can't imagine how terrible that would be. We were young and not remotely prepared to Hold on. I've just Googled it. You were like 23 or 22 at the time. That's not really young. I mean, it is, but at 23 years old, ladies and gentlemen, I knew that what he did, forcing somebody into an abortion, pressuring them, whatever you want to say it is, I knew that that's a bad thing. In fact, I think I knew that was a bad thing when I was very young. Probably when I actually was first born. That's because it's so painfully, obviously, a bad thing to do, you know? I don't think we can really pull out the age thing here. During the talks, counselling and therapy we went through following this time, I came to grips with my behaviour and recognised my shortcomings, and I would like her to know how deeply sorry I am, and that's why I apologised in a text-written apology on Twitter. I mean, it's not even a twit longer. I think that genuinely makes it somehow even worse. I fully realise what I did wrong, and I wish I could change how I responded and acted during that time. I've grown a great deal that happened, and I wish I knew then what I know now. What? What did you need to know that you didn't know now? I'm sorry, Gus, my boy, my little man, I'm sorry, but you knew back then that telling somebody to get in and pressuring them into getting, you knew that was a bad thing. Like, you knew that. I'm sorry, but I just can't buy this bullshit. I will continue to grow and learn and strive to be a better person every day. At this time, I am stepping away from the podcast, and the remainder of this year's live shows will be cancelled with full refunds being issued. I will be taking some time off from posting and working for a while until the YouTube dislike button has been removed. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't say that. May as well say that, though. So yeah, little announcement, guys. This apology, it's up there in the ranks of the worst YouTuber apologies I've ever seen, and it seems that this list just continues to get bigger and bigger as the days go. Like, guys, you need to learn what a human emotion is. And I know it's difficult for you. I understand it's difficult to show some human emotions. It is, I get it. But this is just so bad on so many levels. Firstly, why is it not in a video? I know I just said that, but I'm still confused. Well, I know why. It's because you didn't want your entire audience to see this. And in fact, this apology, it got 11,000 to 12,000 likes. And I'm just a little bit confused. Good response. Still not sure why this needed to be anyone's business other than yours and Sabrina's. 1,000 likes. Yes, I'm still not sure why a victim of emotional abuse isn't allowed to come speak out about their story. So guys, this is the problem here. This is when I can see that we're not taking this stuff seriously, because I actually think we need to have big conversations about this, because it will prevent these things from happening in the future with other couples, you know? Because this is a thing that has happened before and will continue to happen. So speaking about it is very important, and Sabrina is incredibly brave for doing so. Replies like this don't help absolutely anybody. This is a terrible, terrible way to acknowledge what Gus has done. You have basically just come out and publicly said, yeah, I know you're a victim, but I think you need to keep this to yourself. That just makes no sense. I also love that he says shortcomings and circumstances were difficult. Shortcomings. No, it's not a shortcoming, my friend. I think that severely downplays what happened here, and I think that's the whole objective of this response, is to downplay it and make it seem like not that much of a bad thing, when this is probably going to be one of the most traumatic experiences Sabrina will ever go through. It's not a shortcoming. This is a terrible thing that happened, and you are one of the main people responsible here. And I understand it probably was difficult for you at the time, but you certainly have made it so much worse. And also, since coming back, he has been blocking people who come out and try to criticize him. And for me, it's strange that he says that he's been growing and trying to change, because for me personally, when you grow from a situation and when you learn, you typically take on the criticism on board and say, yes, I do deserve this criticism and I understand where they're coming from. Whereas in this situation, you blocking the criticism and blocking the people out who are calling you out, that's not you growing, that's you creating an echo chamber of people that weirdly still back you. That's not growing, that's just you silencing people. And also, maybe I'm reaching here, but the actual nature of his return video is just really off to me.
Oh, Mr. Thompson, I need an ice pack. Yeah, it's a bad one. It's a bad one. Thank you. Oh, I really needed that, yeah. Ah, crap, this is gonna frick up my after-school football for at least a month. Come on, you guys, stop that. Oh, stop them. Hey, Brady, I see you're arriving late to gym class, so in case you're wondering why I'm standing off to the side over here, it's because you probably don't want to look. Get the ball. Oh, what I would not give to be able-bodied right now. Trevor, come here real quick. Can you Google, are welts permanent? Mr. Thompson? Mr. Thompson, is this the worst injury you've seen as a teacher? I bet it is. I bet it is. I'm just glad it happened to someone stronger like me, though, but it still sucks. Honestly, thank you for asking, Katie. And no, to answer your question, I'm not okay. Mr. Thompson? Mr. Thompson, can I use your phone to call my mom? Hey, Mom, I got hurt real bad in gym class today. No, don't come get me. I just wanted you to know. Is there anybody else there right now that I could tell about my injury? No, don't tell Dad. I want to do it. Oh, I shouldn't be moving around this much in case it's spinal. I don't care if it's melted at this point. It's still helping. Man, I really took my health for granted. Guys, seriously, defense. God, what I would not give for the full use of my limbs right now. Do you think this is gonna make the morning announcements tomorrow? I just think people should be made aware. Oh, okay. Okay, I think it feels a little bit better. I should be able to rejoin. Ow! Crap! Now I gotta milk this one for the next month.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here, but the whole video of being about being in pain, being injured, and calling up the parents about the injury, stuff like that, it just, to me, I'm kind of getting like a subtle jab here. And I don't know. It's not an actual criticism here, because maybe it's just a vibe I have, but it just does seem a little bit of a weird video to come back with. The reality is, the video he should have come back with would be an apology. But this guy, he clearly doesn't have much morals, if not any morals at all. And this guy, in my opinion, doesn't care. And if he did care, he wouldn't have put out this text-based apology onto twitter.com. To kind of conclude what's been spoken about here today, this whole situation genuinely does creep me out. Honestly, I just can't comprehend anybody actually being in a position position of where they believe they have the right to pressure somebody into doing what Sabrina said that she thought she had to do. It's so incredibly disturbing. I think we can kind of put a positive spin on this into a conversation about miscarriages, about abortions, about ectopic pregnancies, because people seem to think these are such simple issues, when in reality, as I keep saying, it is so complex. And I implore people to look further into these things after this video, because who knows, you yourself in the future could be dealing with an issue simply just like this. Despite me thinking Gus Johnson is a terrible person, I do think that there can be a form of education taken away from this situation, and that is one of the main reasons I cover it. Yes, I do want to expose this guy for being I don't even know how to describe him, a terrible person. But also, I do want people to just kind of take this on board and learn from this and kind of take the information on it and go Google these things. Because you see what Sabrina went through, an incredibly brave thing. But also, you need to think that this could happen to anybody you know, and by you knowing the information from, I don't know, WebMD or some healthcare website, you can support your loved ones in the future, and I think that's a good thing. So yeah, I am just going to end it on some positive note here of saying, hey, this could happen to anybody, and I hope the people watching this right now would deal with it in a much better way than Gus Johnson. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I understand this may have seemed like a bit of a personal one. I personally did find this situation to be quite disgusting, so I would appreciate it if you drop your comments below, give me your feedback, what you thought about everything going on here, and if anybody has any like advice or things to give for people in the comments who are dealing with the same things that Sabrina went through, that would be amazing. I can pin some comments if somebody puts a really good one there, who knows. But thank you so much for coming along to this video. If you could drop a like, because I'm sure there'll be some freaky fan base that comes and dislike bombs this, and you don't see the dislikes, but dislikes do actually take videos out of the algorithm, so I'd appreciate it if you commented, liked. Please follow my social medias. Please subscribe. Please. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. And also, yeah, all the good stuff, social medias, all in the description. Thank you very much for coming along, people, and I will see you on Wednesday and Friday. See you later. Bye. Merry Christmas. Take it easy. Happy holidays. Whatever. Bye.